Good evening. My name is Leslie Kuhn, and I am the president of the League of Women Voters of Newcastle. I'd like to welcome you and our candidates to this candidates forum for the Pound Ridge Town Supervisor and Town Board Members election. The League of Women Voters is a nonpartisan, grassroots political organization of women and men. This means that the League does not support or oppose one candidate or political party over another. We are dedicated to the active and informed participation of citizens in government at all levels. The League works to educate voters, increase understanding and debate on major policy issues, and influence policy through education and advocacy. The League works at the local, state, and national levels and takes positions on policies, not on candidates or parties. The League of Women Voters of Newcastle is a local league, primarily covering the town of Newcastle, but also welcoming members from neighboring communities. Following the dissolution of the League of Women Voters of Northeast Westchester last June, we were asked to step in to fill gaps in local coverage created by the dissolution. We were pleased to welcome LWV Northeast Westchester members to our league and to work with them to continue previous voter education efforts, including in the town of Pound Ridge. We are thankful that both supervisor candidates accepted our invitation to participate in tonight's forum, and that 3 out of the 4 town board member candidates are also able to participate. The 4th town board member candidate, Ron Asaro, had a family commitment, his son's wedding, that prevented his participation. Tonight's forum is an opportunity for voters to hear from the candidates about topics of interest to the community. We thank the many community members who submitted nearly 100 questions to our committee. The committee worked hard to sort those questions into topics of interest and to compile a set of questions from those submissions to cover as many of those topics as possible in the time allowed. We hope that the candidates' answers to the questions posed will help educate voters about the candidates and their positions. We urge anyone with additional questions to seek out the candidates at any of their additional opportunities. This evening's proceedings are being taped by the Newcastle Community Media Center. A video will be available on demand at nccmc.com and through a YouTube link. All other recording is strictly prohibited. Any public sharing or rebroadcast of this candidate forum must be in its entirety and unedited. Thank you to our timekeeper tonight, League member Lee Barth, and many thanks to our moderator for this evening, Susan Ferris-Wrights. Susan Ferris-Wrights is the past president of the League of Women Voters of Berkeley Heights, New Providence, and Summit, New Jersey, and of the League of Women Voters of Northeast Westchester. She continues to moderate candidate forums across New York State and has served on numerous state committees addressing issues such as voting rights and maternal health. She is also a docent at the Katona Museum of Art. Susan will now go over the ground rules for tonight's forum, and then we will begin with the 2 supervisor candidates.
Okay, great. It's my pleasure to be here for the candidate forum for the candidates for Pound Ridge Supervisor and the candidates for town board members. In accordance with league policy, I am not a voter in the district. So we're going to start out this evening with the questions for the candidates for Pound Ridge Town Supervisor, and then we're going to go and ask questions to the candidates for the Pound Ridge Town Board members. Before we get started, I'd like to go over a few of the ground rules that apply to each group. The order of opening statements is going to be an ABC order. That is that Kevin Hansen is going to go first and John McCown is going to go second. And the questions are going to alternate back and forth between who goes first. That's the most fair way to do it. At the conclusion of this, we're going to do closing statements. And in that case, John McCown's going to go first and Kevin Hansen is going to go second. Okay. Throughout the forum, no comments of a personal or abusive nature will be permitted, and we just need to remember that we're here about politics and not about personalities. Each candidate has up to 1.5 minutes, 90 seconds for their opening statement. They will then answer one question that's posed by the league, followed by questions that we were able to receive from people that live within Pound Ridge. Candidates will have 1.5 minutes to answer each question, 90 seconds. And the timekeeper will indicate when 30 seconds remain. And then the timekeeper is going to indicate that time's up with stop sign. So that's pretty straightforward. Each candidate is entitled to 2 30-second rebuttals during the question portion. If you are interested in a rebuttal, wait for the other candidate to finish speaking before just raise your hand, and I'll obviously call on you to make your rebuttal. Okay, at the conclusion, each candidate will give a closing statement of a maximum of 1.5 minutes. And as a moderator, I will reserve the right to allow an additional rebuttal of the close if warranted. So that would be another 30-second rebuttal. So let's proceed with our opening statements. Let's start out with Kevin Hansen, please.
Yeah, hi, good evening. Yeah, first of all, I just want to thank you and the League of Women Voters for hosting tonight's debate. It's an important conversation, and I'm pleased to be here, and I'm happy to answer any questions you have. I'm Kevin Hansen. I've been the town supervisor for 8 years. And tonight, when I say we or me, make sure you understand it's really not I or me, it's really a we. I may have said that incorrectly, but it's a we, it's a town board. I've worked with many town boards over my 8 years. It's we, the dedicated employees of the town of Pound Ridge, that have made everything happen. And it's also the more than 100 volunteers that serve on our boards and commissions. So any accomplishments that I point to is really a we as we go through this. I've been pleased to see over the last 8 years as we've been able to transform Pound Ridge. You can drive through town and you see it in the business district. It's a completely different town than 8 years ago. But we're not done. We know right now we need to add more water into the business district. We need to bring fresh, clean water in there, and that's why I'm running again, because my work isn't done. And so I look forward to answering any questions you may have.
Okay, thank you. Okay, John McCown, your opening statement, please.
Good evening, and thank you to the League and all attending. I'm Jock McCown, candidate for Town Supervisor. My wife Kathleen and I are 27-year residents of Pound Ridge. It was our privilege to raise our son and daughter here, where they attended Pres. My professional experience is in finance and planning. I also spent 2 decades as CEO of a shipping company I co-founded and grew to $200 million in annual revenue. I understand what good governance looks like. Having regularly attended town board meetings for the past several years, I've seen firsthand where this administration falls short. Tonight, you'll hear again about how nice the business district looks. It does. You can see it. What you can't see and what is kept from you are budget overruns and financial mismanagement, resulting in extra cost and higher taxes. Residents deserve a beautiful downtown. You also deserve responsible, transparent financial stewardship. Not one, but both. I care deeply about Pound Ridge and support a business district that reflects the needs of residences and preserves the unique character of our town. Over the past several months, I've gone door to door to introduce myself and listen to you. I am running for 2 reasons. 1, Pound Ridge needs transparent financial stewardship. I will provide that. I will protect taxpayer dollars through careful planning, strong oversight, timely financial reporting, and good governance practices. I will strengthen the town's financial health. 2, many residents believe decisions are made without their knowledge or input. I will put an end to that. I will invite resident participation through regular forums and will govern through open meetings. I will make sure you are heard.
Thank you.
You deserve honest and complete information about town affairs. The
John.
current administration points to half-truths to claim successes that don't hold up under scrutiny.
Okay,
Assertions that are
we need
fine
to
and
stop
critics.
the answer, the opening statement. Your time is up. Thank you. Okay. All right.
Thank
So
you.
we're going to move on to the first question that I'm going to ask you. Again, you're going to see a little yellow 30 seconds, and then you're going to see a red stop sign. Okay. So hopefully you'll see that. All right. The first question that I have, and we're going to start with John McCown to answer it, is this. What is one of Pound Ridge's greatest strengths or assets, and how would you work to enhance this strength or asset? Go ahead, John McCown.
Yes, I think the greatest strength is the people and the geographical area that we live in. Pound Ridge is a bucolic gem of a town. That's one of the key things that drove us to it. It's a very unique town. That's what drove us to it, and I think we want to keep Pound Ridge. Certainly improve it, but I like the character of the town. The volunteerism that we see is extraordinary, and those are the two assets that we want to keep in place. I am running because I have certain skills that I think can benefit the town in those areas where there have been lapses. As I said in my remarks, we want to have both a beautiful downtown and we want to have good financial management and just radical transparency. We haven't seen that with this board. So that's my summary point of that. Again, we have a very detailed website that goes into much detail. I'm a very long-winded person, so I could go on and on and on, and I know that I don't have the time to do that. I would just to repeat the last part of my comment. Pound Ridge just deserves more. That's my point.
Thank you. Okay. Kevin Hansen, what is one of the greatest strengths or assets of Pound Ridge, and how would you work to enhance this strength or asset?
I think one of the greatest strengths and assets are actually the volunteers that make Pound Ridge work. Even the town board itself is really a volunteer kind of run organization. You may think it's not, you may think it has other motivations and everything else, but it's primarily volunteer. And we have 100 and some boards and commission members to make it. And to me, that's what makes Pound Ridge, is the involvement of everybody in here, whether or not it's at the town board level, all the way through our emergency management system. When a crisis hits, we have a tendency to come together. So that's what really drives Pound Ridge in terms of a community kind of feel that way.
Okay, thank you. Okay, question 2. Kevin, you're going to start with the answer to this. Okay, considering the recent audit report and past delays in financial report filing, do you see a need for changes to town fiscal management practices and oversight? Okay.
Well, that's a great question, because he put a lot of words in there about fiscal mismanagement. And what he's trying to really not say in this point is the fact that we've held the property line on Pound Ridge for the last 8 years. We've increased our fund balance by over $1 million. We've brought in over $10 million of grants to allow us to do infrastructure projects that don't fall in the backs of Town Ridge residents. We've produced at every budget. Our revenue has exceeded our budgeted amounts, and our expenses have always come in underneath it. So when they talk about the audit, all the audit does is just confirm what we already know, which is that we are really running a nice, thin, lean government in Pound Ridge that's focused on keeping the taxes low. I don't believe in big government. I believe in small government. And that's what you see when you look at our financial reports. We run a really tight government here. All the audit does is at the end of the day is confirm that we do it. Now, can there things that we always can do better? Of course. And I always check, just for the example, with the comptroller's office when they came in. That's free consulting that came in. Allows us to finally do those procedural changes that we always know we need to do and finally get it done. So those things have all been tackled and all been changed and all been implemented. Will we look at it again at the beginning of January 2025 when we go through the budget process? Go through the organization process? Of course. We'll always look to improve.
Okay. Okay, John McCown. Do you want me to repeat the question, or are you good with it?
Yes, if you would repeat the question, please.
Because it's kind of wordy. Considering the recent audit report and past delays in financial report filing, do you see a need for changes to town fiscal management practices and oversight? Your turn.
Yes, most certainly. The question was about the audit, and I encourage everyone to read the full audit report. The audit report referred to over 1.1 million spent without proper bidding, without proper review, and paying the bills. It also included 300 or so credit card charges with no receipts. That was about 1/3 of the credit cards charged. So what the audit report covered was quite significant and some very serious failure in financial management. The other question was about the financial statements. In each of the 7 years, the Hansen administration has been late, past the legal deadline, an average of 17 months, as much as 27 months. We're now seeing the tangible cost of that. Because we have late financials, we cannot issue real regular municipal bonds. The cost in the last 4 years is 252,000 of additional interest cost. To go back to the audit, though, this audit, even though the supervisor refers to it as procedural and no big deal and routine, it was anything but that. It went on for 20 months. We now know that there are 4 drafts of the earlier audit reports. There are 432 pages of emails between the town and the controller's office. That is anything but a routine. We're attempting to get under FOIL that information that is being withheld that should be shared with the public. So both the audit report and the record of financial statements is extraordinarily poor. There's nothing acceptable about that.
John, you need to finish. Okay. What is FOIL? I'm not sure that the audience would know what that is.
Okay, I'm sorry. FOIL is the Freedom of Information Law.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. Next question. We're going to start with John McCown. Okay. Number 3, how would you describe the financial condition of Pound Ridge and what would you do to strengthen it?
The financial condition of Pound Ridge is a function of the numbers. The most important metric, according to the municipal experts in the various associations, is the ratio of unassigned funds to next year's budget. Even though in 2024 that number was up significantly, it's still only about 13%. The strong recommendation is that that number be at least 16 2/3%. So first and foremost, Pound Ridge is below what all the experts say. The most important thing, though, is residents and taxpayers aren't giving the information that they need. They deserve to have timely information so they know where the condition of the town and the direction. I personally don't know how somebody can manage well without having current financial statements. So the condition of the town, we're paying twice as much for our debt as we would if we had current financial statements. The town just issued a 7-year bond that we only heard about when we got the 2024 financials. That was issued 4 months ago. I could go on and on and on by the extraordinary lapses that in terms of the financial management, and that all point to the condition of the town being misrepresented by the current administration. There are significant lapses in financial management, and the town is paying for extra taxes and extra cost.
Okay, thank you for that answer. Okay, Kevin Hansen, how would you describe the financial condition of Pound Ridge, and what would you do to strengthen it?
I consider it fantastic. Everything that he just threw out at you is not true. There's no additional cost because of the audit or any of that. Even the concept of the bond. We don't have the debt that the other towns around us have as a bond. This is all kind of made up numbers based on his scenarios that he kind of creates in the background because he doesn't know. The best metric we have right now is the controllers view this as a 6.7 out of scale of 100 in terms of stress of our financial situation. Means we have no stress. Our finances are great. You know, that's the underlying measurement that you should be looking at. All this other stuff about whether or not the audit is late or the late audit causes something else. All the audit does is prove what you've already told the public, which is that your revenues exceeded your expenses. You've you're under your 2% tax cap. You're doing very well. And we've been able to see that by growing how much we've been able to grow in our fund balance. And so it has all been out there. Whether or not he knows how to read it, or whether or not he knows how to go out and find the information, that's the different part of the equation. But it's all out there, and it's all public, and it's all transparent.
Okay, thank you. Okay, next question. We're going to start with Kevin Hansen. Town board meetings often feel contentious, board versus audience. How do you propose to address some of the animosity?
Well, that animosity is not just limited to Pound Ridge. I think you see that both at multiple towns. I think you see that up at the state level, and then unfortunately, I think we see that at the federal level. I think there's just an underlining unhappiness that people have. And sometimes it's easier to kind of yell at government as the reason. What we try to do is, we've been a very small town. We've been trying to, open up the dialogue as much as possible. But the town board meeting is not a two-way conversation. It's a one-way conversation. They're there to watch us do our business in terms of the public. But we've been very, very open with them and answering the questions, particularly if we think it's moving the conversation forward. But to have people come in and yell at us, that's their right. That's their First Amendment right. And we sit there and we take it. Doesn't mean we have to respond to it. Doesn't mean we have to do anything with it. They're more than welcome to call us the next day. They're more than welcome to come up to us at the grocery store. They're more than welcome to come up to us at any time and have that conversation. They're welcome to have this conversation now at a League of Women Voters debate. But it doesn't necessarily mean that you do that in a town board meeting. That's not the appropriate place to have those kind of conversations at a town board meeting.
Okay, thank you. Okay, John McCown. Town board meetings often feel contentious, board versus audience. How do you propose to address some of the animosity?
By radically changing the way those board meetings are held. I think what Supervisor Hansen just said underscores his view of transparency. Kevin views transparency as a word he uses every 2 years during election time, and he puts it on mailers. I've been to most of the board meetings in the last few years. It took a town resident proposing to put on the agenda that people can comment at any time. What was Supervisor Hansen just said? It's a one-way conversation. We're a small town. We should all be about people coming in and asking questions and getting responses. So now, while they're allowed to comment, the board does not respond. So it's abysmal. It's abysmal governance. It's terrible transparency, and that's a big part of the frustration of people, that this board just does not seem to care what they say. There have been multiple examples of that more recently on an issue where there were multiple people that presented a petition to the board. Multiple people were recommending strongly against an action, and they went ahead and did that. This board doesn't really, they pay lip service to transparency, and that would be radically changed under me.
Okay, thank you. Okay, next question. We're going to start with John McCown. What are your views on the next steps for addressing the complex set of issues surrounding water management in Scotts Corners? So that would be starting out with John McCown.
Well, like anything you approach, you go through careful planning, and you spend time doing the analysis ahead of time. This drinking water project is a classic example of poor planning, prioritizing action over poor planning. I became familiar with it and looked into the numbers. The numbers that they are representing, I believe, are massively wrong. They're saying the cost of the project will be the same cost as a report from 5 years ago. That report 5 years ago said the operating cost would be $200,000 per year. Currently, they're saying it'd be 1/3 of that, $70,000. I don't think it's fair to not tell the business district people what the actual cost would be. And on top of that, the due diligence in looking at alternatives has been severely lacking. People have come forward with reasonable alternatives that would cost significantly less. Also, the repercussions of this, it needs to go through a process that involves careful planning and rigorous analysis. And that has not been the case at all. Again, I've been at all of the board meetings, and it came upon and it was crammed down to the business district. Initially, the board didn't even want to have a referendum. They wanted to cram it down to the business district. Half of the people in the business district made it clear we have no interest in this. So
Okay,
the
John,
governance
thank you.
on that has been
Thank you.
abysmal.
Thank you. Okay. Kevin Hansen, what are your
Yeah.
views on the next steps for addressing the complex set of issues surrounding water management in Scotts Corners?
Yeah, that's Scotts Corners has for decades suffered from poor water quality down in this area there. This has been studied multiple times by resident engineers, resident volunteers, as well as professional engineers. And it's finally good to see that the engineers, including the engineers at the Environmental Facilities Corporation, the New York State Department of Health, have finally recognized that Pound Ridge is this close to finally solving this problem, that we do have the rights to the water in Connecticut that generates out of Pound Ridge, and we have the ability now to bring that water through. And all we tried to do was to, because was to form a grant. I mean, the district is what the district is. You either have each individual property owner try to solve this alone, or you form together as a district to solve the problem. And by forming together as a district allows us to then go out and get a grant and go out and try to solve this. And this is an important part of Pound Ridge going forward, because we need clean water here going forward in Pound Ridge. And we have the rights to this money. This money, we're a large paying group here. We pay a lot of money to New York State. And as a result of the money that we spend in New York State, it's finally our turn to get some money back here from New York State to fix our infrastructure problems. And so bringing this water in here now finally solves something that has perplexed these town boards, like I said, for the last 50 years. And we're this close to finally getting it done.
Okay, thank you. Okay, next question. We're going to start with Kevin Hansen. Can you provide specifics about actions that should be taken to make Pound Ridge more climate resilient and to protect our natural resources? So actions to be taken to make Pound Ridge more climate resilient and to protect our natural resources.
Yeah, well, right now, you may or may not know that I'm supported by the New York League of Conservation Voters. I have their complete endorsement. We've been working very hard over the last 8 years to become a clean energy community. We're also a bronze climate smart community. We're a member of the Westchester Power to try to make everything renewable here. We've even implemented community composting, and we're often cited as one of the best recycling towns in all of Westchester County. So, we've been doing a lot to make Pound Ridge environmentally more, sufficient. In addition, it's a very complex town that we're in here. We have very restrictive water restrictions in place because we're the watershed for both New York City and the Long Island watershed. And so we have incredible setbacks that we have to make sure that are maintained, that limits our growth, that limits what we can do, that limits what homeowners can do with their properties. And we have to continue to be good stewards of that.
Okay, thank you. Okay, John McCown. So the question is, can you provide specifics about actions that should be taken to make Pound Ridge more climate resilient and to protect our natural resources?
Well, we have a beautiful bucolic community, and we want to do everything we can to protect that. We have a very unique community this close to New York City, and so I think that is a focus of planning and looking into all alternatives, presenting alternatives to people, but not cramming things down. Kevin referenced the electric power thing. This administration signed the taxpayers up for one of these electric programs that you automatically are in unless you opt out. That's not the way to do things. That's not a transparent way to do things. But I think we want to protect this beautiful land we have. Speaking of one effect of that, this drinking water project that Kevin is pushing would involve pipes going within 50 feet of reservoirs, of ponds along Upper Shad, going underneath a stream that is one of the two main streams going into Laurel Reservoir. In terms of this hasn't really even been thought through, I think, appropriately on an environmental basis what this drinking water project would do. But I love our town. I bike throughout it. It's a beautiful area, and we have to protect it for ourselves and for future generations.
Thank you. Okay. All right. Next question. We're going to start with John McCune. Okay. We had a number of questions about school taxes. What can you say to residents who are frustrated about rising school taxes? John McCown, start that.
Well, in terms of the overall school budget, there's not a lot that can be done, but in terms of how that is allocated among the districts, there's a lot that can be done. 3/4 of our taxes in Pound Ridge are school taxes. We looked into it, as people know, our school tax bill is up 9.1% the last year. Compared to Bedford, and Newcastle that are up 3%. North Castle and Mount Kisco actually went down 3%. One of them went down 10%. So we're a real outlier. And when I saw that preliminary figure a year ago, I dug into the numbers. Kevin is both the chief executive officer and the chief financial officer. And I found how the Albany determines the equalization rate. When you put all of these town districts together in one, you have to have the same currency, so to speak. And I see how they got their number. But I also see the 49 sales, the home sales that were included, excluded 10 sales. And if those sales had been included, our property tax, our school tax would have been half as much. I put this information in front of Kevin months ago, suggesting he look into that. He has done nothing. So even on their website, their new website, they said real estate values went up 5% in the past year. Well, based on our school tax going up 9%, Albany's saying our values went up 9%. So Kevin, as the chief financial officer, should have fought for that, should have inquired, should have made sure there was no mistake in those numbers.
Thank you. Okay. Same question, Kevin Hansen. We had a number of questions about school taxes. What can you say to residents who are frustrated about rising school taxes?
Number one thing I could do is say I share the concern. We brought in the school superintendent to make sure he comes in and explain it to Pound Ridge and explain why they got to their 9% increase. Yes, I'm the chief financial officer of the town of Pound Ridge. I am not the chief finance officer of the school district. I encourage all of them to go back to the school board and push on the school board, because this is where John McCown and I do agree that the school board should be working with the legislature to say, wait a minute, a separation of 10% across the district does not seem to fly what the concept of that equalization rate. Maybe they should have spent more time at the school board getting state funding that they needed to pump up and add more monies into the Bedford Central School District. That's what was my recommendation to each of the candidates that I met with that were running for school board. So that's what I would be recommending. And for the numbers that he sent us, it didn't fly. It does not make sense to go to the state and ask them to fudge the numbers in order to get Pound Ridge to those numbers. It doesn't. That's not an appropriate thing for the town government. I think he should run for school board. I think he should, run for school board. I think he should get on the finance committee there, the school board. I think he should work with the school board to better understand exactly how they do this.
Thank you. Okay. All right.
Can I have a rebuttal?
Oh, yes.
Okay. So my rebuttal to that is my inquiry to my letter to Kevin was simply suggesting that he make an inquiry. I wasn't suggesting that he lobby, or certainly not suggesting he fudge. Just that he asked the people that do the numbers to explain it. He said that somebody came and explained it to Pound Ridge. Nobody in Pound Ridge has heard anything about school taxes. They might have had a conversation with Kevin. They certainly didn't have a conversation with the public.
Thank you. Okay. Okay, next question, we're gonna start with Kevin Hansen. This is the question. Can you speak to the town's purchase of the 7 Old Pound Road property? How would you like to see the property used?
The 7 Old Pound Road property, I am so pleased that we got that. That's a once in a generation purchase. That property was looking at being redeveloped into a 30 to 35 person condominium complex that would have changed the whole nature between the town park and the historic district. So when that deal went through, I'm so thankful I had the support of the town board that said, I think we should buy this. I think we should hold this. And I think we should hold this for future town boards to decide what they want to do with it and give it under the control of the town of Pound Ridge. That property comes with rental income. We generate probably approximately $50,000 a year in rental income, which easily covers all its property taxes and all its maintenance and everything else there. We got it at such a low price, and we also know that it's worth a heck of a lot more now. But what I would like to see with that property would be, in the short run, see the path that we've started down on, walking path, continuing down back into the Hamlet area there. But also then keep it for future growth. We don't know what the future residents will want. Maybe they'll want more ball fields. Maybe they'll want to go hit a home run and try to go get a community center that we tried to get 20 years ago. Now we got the land and the location to do it right there. And if you notice, we didn't buy it under open space fund. We kept it separate from that so that it would give future town boards the flexibility on what to do with it.
Thank you. Okay, John McCown, can you speak to the town's purchase of the 7 Old Pound Road property?
Yes, I will. Kevin continues to refer to that as a once-in-a-generation opportunity. Well, the town of Pound Ridge cannot afford many once-in-a-generation opportunity. That project has been a fiasco. If it was brought to take it off development, it should have been bought by the open space. Kevin well knows the sole reason that property was bought was to be the wastewater treatment site. They spent $1.25 million for that. They spent over $500,000 on 3 engineering firms, and they proved that it wasn't workable. And since they've owned it, they've had a net cost of $268,000 in the hole. Kevin referenced the rent. The rent pays 1/3 of the ongoing cost since they bought it, the big one being interest. They bought that on the town credit card. So altogether, it's over $2 million, and we're now trying to figure out a use for it. It just is a project that has not really made any sense. And again, the big cost on that is interest. If that's a once in a generation opportunity, we don't need any more of those. Again, it was bought solely for the wastewater, and it was kind of an example of fire ready aim. They did things backwards again.
Okay.
Okay, Susan, I'm going to do my rebut here.
Okay.
That's completely just not true. Okay, that's just not true. The wastewater, is the same thing that you have in your house. You have to own the property to have the wastewater. Did it become part of the study in terms of what we do with wastewater later on? Yes, that was not the sole reason to buy that. The sole reason to buy that property was the fact that we had that opportunity to do it. It literally is a once in a generation opportunity to do it for whatever reason. We could have easily put wastewater right onto the town park. It wasn't necessarily needed to be up into that area there. Okay.
Thank you.
And all those numbers he just presented are just so off. It just doesn't begin to even discuss it any further.
Okay, gotcha. Okay,
May I have my second rebuttal?
So it's a rebut to, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, no, this is just a general rebuttal.
No, it's 30 seconds, so it's not 90. Okay.
Understand.
Okay.
Supervisor Hanson likes to always say that my numbers are misleading. He never goes into specifics. The numbers on the Old Pound Road project that we just did, the numbers for the cost, that's on a worksheet that is submitted as part of a board meeting. Those numbers are real. If Kevin thinks there's any problem, he ought to come back and say what the problem is. But he always simply says, oh, they're wrong, they're misleading. I don't give misleading numbers. Kevin does, and their website that they came out with today, he is saying that the unassigned funds, their website say is 1.6 million. If you look in the audited balance sheet, it's 1.1 million.
Rebuttal's over. Okay. Last question, and you get to go first, Sean McCown. And here's the question. What do you think are Pound Ridge's most significant upcoming challenges, and how do you propose we handle them? So what do you think are the most significant upcoming challenges, and how do you propose we handle them? Start with John McCown.
Well, I think the two challenges are the two key reasons I'm running. Financial management, it needs to be significantly better. We've accumulated a whole bunch of debt. We haven't started paying any of it. Our town credit card is now up to $5 million, close to $5 million. We haven't paid back any principal of that, and we need to have significantly more transparency in what we do. Those are the challenges that can hold Pound Ridge back. And again, our property taxes are higher than they should be based on the $252,000 of tangible interest we're paying because we don't have current financials. Having higher property taxes will drive away people from relocating here. It's all part of the system. So that's the challenge. We need to get our financial house in order, and it can be significantly improved. And that is the best track for Pound Ridge to take. That's the biggest challenges in my view.
Okay, thank you. Okay, Kevin Hanson, what do you see or think are Pound Ridge's most significant upcoming challenges, and how do you propose we handle them?
Well, one challenge right now is just spending all this time correcting what he's just said here. We have no $5 million in credit card debt. That's absurd. We have a total of $4 million in debt. That's nothing compared to Bedford, which is $42 million in debt. Lewisboro is 10, and then I think they just added another 14 million. Our challenges going forward are pretty clear. We've got to fix this water district. We are this close to bringing fresh water in. That's going to solve us. That's going to serve that area there for the next fiscal year. I mean, for the next 50 years by bringing in fresh water there. Coming back from that, after that, we do have to get back to cell service in this area here. There more people are living up here. The weekenders here are here now more time. We do know that our cell service is really lacking here. We had done a study, a whole top of Westchester study, and it's all on the website to identify exactly where we need the cell towers in town. Of course, we don't want them in the hamlet, but that's an area that's definitely weak. We do need to get cell service going here in Pound Ridge. There's just no question about that. And if I had time, I would say the third, is that we do need to look at more housing options for people. We do need to get serious on that. We want to have people that are in the workforce that want to come and live in Pound Ridge. We want to have people that are new families come to Pound Ridge, and we want to have people that want to downsize stay in Pound Ridge.
Okay, we are set to close. So closing statements. we're going to start with John McCown. You are first. 90 seconds.
We live in tumultuous times. Across the country, people feel unfixed about their government, about their future, about their finances. We cannot let this pervasive anxiety also infect our sense of security at home. We need to feel confident in our town's financial stewardship. We need to feel acknowledged and included in governing decisions. Pound Ridge is the home we all share. Each of us deserves to feel settled, to know that the financial health and future direction of our home is in competent hands, that our tax dollars are respected and spent judiciously for initiatives that are fully vetted, widely supported, and are accounted for in a timely manner. To make that happen, we need a change in government. We need public input and rigorous analysis in making all key decisions. We need radical transparency in all governing acts. I will provide annual financial statements for review within 90 days and will provide interim financial statements on a quarterly basis. I will hold regular public forums inviting your participation, hold regular staff meetings with the town workforce. I will be a supervisor in residence at the townhouse. My door will be open and you will know where to find me. Together, we will grow an even more vibrant Pound Ridge. For the vitality of the town to continue, the basic underpinnings of financial health and open door governing are essential. Financial mismanagement and closed door decisions erode our sense of security at home. It's time to put an end to it. It's time for a change. Please let me be that change in service to you and to the future of this home we love. Vote for the Pound Ridge Party team in November. Thank you.
We're done. Thank you. Okay. And Kevin Hansen, closing statement, please.
Well, again, I just want to thank you for this. I enjoyed, John, having the conversations. You know, I do. I think it makes everybody stronger at the end of the day. I'm very pleased with my record of the last 8 years. I mean, of course, when you have a record of 8 years, you're always going to have some people that are going to be able to point at it and say, this is things you should have done different, done this. But in the big picture, we've been focused on this vision of trying to improve the property values in Pound Ridge, and we've delivered. You've seen the results. You've seen all the grants that we brought in, whether or not it's been for the building of the village green and building of the trail grants and building of the pools and fixing the pools, all this deferred maintenance. We've finally gotten park shelters and structures in place. We've updated the townhouse. We've modernized. We've got ADA compliant doors in there. We've got traffic safety devices all around. We've got a new community bus coming here. We've gone department by department trying to modernize the town of Pound Ridge. We throw out all the old typewriters that were in there and tried to make this real happen. I'm extremely supportive of all the efforts of the town employees, you know, to get this information up online, to make it transparent. I spend every Friday writing a newsletter to be as transparent as possible to the residents of Pound Ridge, to let them know everything that's happening or in the community and everything that's happening in the town board meetings, so that they're always informed as to what's going on. And that's what I intend to continue doing.
Okay, thank you. Okay. Thank you very much. I would say that we are now done with the candidate forum for supervisor. And we're going to start to do the candidate forum for Pound Ridge Town Board members. Okay, so the way we're going to start out here is we're going to start with opening statements, and we're going to go Peter, Diane, Daniel, and then the first question is go Daniel. We just go up and down sort of the little ABC list of the three names. And we're going to start out with opening statements, and we're going to end with closing statements with the questions sandwiched in between. So Peter Avellino, you would like to begin, please, with your opening statement. Great.
Thank you. My name is Peter Avellino, and I'm a candidate for town board. Thank you to the League of Women Voters for hosting tonight's forum and for everyone in attendance. My wife and I have lived here for 33 wonderful years, raising our two daughters who've attended Pound Ridge Elementary School and graduated from Fox Lane. Over the years, I've been involved in local government and have been an active volunteer. I co-authored environmental protection legislation, spearheaded the Environmental Steering Committee, and launched our first Environmental Day. I served on the Housing Committee and now serve on the Comprehensive Plan Update. I also am a coach at the Repair Cafe. I believe leadership should serve everyone and put community first to enhance quality of life. My top priorities are clear. Trust through transparency with open forums, regular updates, and decisions shaped by residents. Responsible finances through ending late financial filings, maintaining regulatory compliance, controlling taxes, and cutting wasteful spending. Environmental stewardship that proactively protects our environment and preserves our small town feel. Revitalization of our business district by attracting niche retailers to position Pound Ridge as a vibrant shopping destination, improving streetscapes, and exploring other missing opportunities for economic growth. And thoughtful planning for housing and infrastructure that balances our community needs while safeguarding the environment. With over 30 years as a senior healthcare executive, I bring real-world experience in finance, strategy, transformation leadership to tackle our town's most pressing issues. I'm
Thank you.
committed.
Okay, so
Thank you.
Diane, opening statement, please.
Hi, and thank you all again for making this opportunity possible. My name is Diane Briggs. As you know, my family and I have lived in Scotts Corners for 28 years, cherishing Pound Ridge's natural beauty, historic charm, and rural character, along with this unique balance of vibrant community engagement and peaceful solitude. I'm honored to be completing my second term on the town board and my second year as deputy supervisor. And as you know, I'm seeking re-election for a third term. My approach to public service is shaped by more than 30 years of experience in independent schools, higher education, and nonprofit organizations, where I developed expertise as a fundraiser and critical thinker, always committed to building meaningful relationships. Civility, openness, humility, and collaboration guide me in addressing the needs of our community. During my service, I'm most proud to have helped establish and lead the Economic Development Committee, advancing efforts to revitalize our business district through the redevelopment of 77 Westchester Avenue, the former vacant gas station property, and I helped to plan and implement the new Village Green. From day one, my priorities have always been clear: responsible budgeting to keep taxes fair and services strong, protecting Pound Ridge's character and open spaces throughout thoughtful planning and partnership with town boards and committees, fostering community engagement with clear communication and inclusive decision-making, and supporting local businesses in ways that strengthen our economy without compromising our town's charm. At a time when small towns across the state face rising costs, infrastructure needs, and environmental pressures, I remain committed to providing collaborative, respectful leadership to meet today's challenges while preserving the integrity and appeal of Pound Ridge.
Thank you. Okay, and Daniel Pashish, go ahead, opening statement, please.
Thank you for hosting tonight's event. I am Daniel Pashkus, Dan Pashkus, as most people know me, running for re-election to the town board. I was fortunate enough to be raised in Pound Ridge, graduated from Pound Ridge Elementary and Fox Lane, and then was fortunate enough to raise my daughters here as well, and they went through the Bedford Central School District and graduated from each of those schools themselves. I consider myself very fortunate, and it does give me a long-term perspective on how Pound Ridge was and how Pound Ridge is. And I can honestly say that Pound Ridge is the best that it has been in the last 50 years. And that's speaking from personal experience. I was very happy to be able to have been a part of a lot of the improvements that have been made over the last number of years in Pound Ridge. My mission has been to preserve the rural character of the town while making improvements wherever possible. In that vein, I was instrumental in the restoration of Sachs Park, the acquisition of the Eastwoods Preserve. I was the deciding vote on moving ahead with the TEP project, which provided the new streetscape with sidewalks and street lamps in Scotts Corners. And I advocated for the town to take title to the old Texaco station, which was an eyesore in the middle of Scotts Corners, which, as my colleague Diane Briggs just mentioned, she was then able to turn into the new Village Green with financing that she secured from a donor so that it didn't cost from the residents.
Okay, Okay, let's start with the first question that I have for town board members. So we're gonna start out with Diane going first. And this is the question. How would you work to maintain a political environment that is respectful and cordial to those with differing opinions? Diane Briggs.
So I think that's precisely what I've aspired to do from day one. And I'm always available. I love to sit down and meet with residents of all political persuasions to hear their thoughts and ideas. I know that when I first decided to run for office, I was told that we wouldn't have much of a chance because my political leanings were not similar to those of a lot of my neighbors, but that has not been the case in any way, shape, or form. And so I think the most important thing I do is listen first and learn and try to understand where people are coming from and be very open-minded and willing to work together to do the best we can to protect the Pound Ridge we love.
Thank you. Okay. Daniel Pashkus, the question is, how would you work to maintain a political environment that is respectful and cordial to those with differing opinions?
You know, we have the advantage of being a very small community. And wherever we go in town, you can't avoid your neighbors, and you shouldn't, especially if you have the privilege of being an elected official. Even this morning, I went to pick up one thing from the Scotts Corner Market and wound up engaging with a resident for 20 minutes about town issues. It happens all the time, and it's been happening all the time at town board meetings. Contrary to what you may have heard from others, we've always been an open town board. We always take questions from residents. We answer them whenever possible. That doesn't mean we allow someone to hijack the agenda. We still have an agenda that we have to get through at meetings. But it does mean that we are accessible, and we listen to our residents and we answer questions constantly. I think a lot of the atmosphere, unfortunately, that is presently making things more difficult is a few people who are trying to use the openness that we have allowed to use it as a platform for their agenda rather than to have an honest conversation. But we do. We speak to our residents constantly. We answer questions constantly, and we are accessible and open, and we will continue to be.
Okay, thanks. Okay, and Peter Avellino, how do you work to maintain a political environment that is respectful and cordial to those with differing opinions?
Thank you. My experience may be a little bit different. Being in town for 33 years, I have seen quite a bit. The town board, prior to the current administration, there were some adversarial times where residents spoke up, but generally speaking, there was open communication and open dialogue going back and forth. One of the points that the supervisor made earlier is that it's a one-way conversation. And I don't believe that it should be a one-way conversation. I think that's what has caused a lot of the consternation. We have to become much more wholesome and much more open. We're a community of volunteers. It's important that we see each other as one and we unify with each other in terms of what the final product is going to look like. So what that means is when we're making the sausage, we have to sit down together and go through the issues and speak to those issues, because we might learn something from the public that we haven't taken into consideration. I do understand that things can get delayed for a number of reasons when you do that, but your end product will be better. And I think it will also cause far less of the pushback and the vitriol behavior that at least I've seen observing from a distance.
Okay, thank you. Okay. Okay, now we start out with the next question, and we're going to start with Daniel. And here's the question. On which town of Pound Ridge volunteer boards and commissions, if any, would you want to serve as a town board liaison, and why?
Well, I've
Daniel.
Thank you. I've been serving for some time now as liaison to the Open Space Acquisitions Committee, which is near and dear to my heart, having been serving in that capacity when the town acquired the Eastwoods Preserve, which was 40 some odd acres that would have otherwise been developed and now has a beautiful trail through it instead. And I was very, very pleased to see our residents approve the continuation of the Open Space Acquisition Fund by referendum. And our committee, the Open Space Acquisitions Committee, has been working diligently over the last few years to assess all of the available open space parcels in town, to rate them so that we're in a good position that when something becomes available, we're in a position to make an informed decision and acquire an appropriate property. I would very much like to be a part of that going forward, and to see those funds we've been collecting for that purpose be put to good use.
Okay, thank you. Okay, Peter.
I agree with Dan. I think if I had, open space is also very near and dear to my heart. I am currently on the open space. I'm sorry, on the comprehensive plan update and focusing primarily on open space. So I think that's a big part of what we're trying to do. We are primarily on well, at least fully right now, on well and septic in this town. So preserving the land is absolutely critical for our own drinking water, notwithstanding the 6 tributaries that feed New York City. And we are stewards of the land. We have to do more with respect to protecting our environment as much as possible. So whatever we bring in here, we have to think about what it actually means and how it's going to help others in the surrounding area. In terms of the committees that I would want to be on, I would say the comprehensive plan, I would want to continue to be a liaison for. The comprehensive plan, or the land committee, the committees like that was really where my desire is more to protect the environment. So anything about environmental would work very closely and be very near and dear to my heart.
Okay, thank you. And Diane, how would on which town of Pound Ridge volunteer boards and commissions, if any, would you want to serve as the town board liaison?
Well,
And-
one fact of our town board members that I think a lot of people don't know about is we do each serve on multiple boards and commissions as liaisons. And we're really proud that in Pound Ridge, we have a history of doing that. I know in some of our surrounding towns, town board members do not serve as liaisons, and we just take that as part of our job. So I've served on a number of them, and I think they're all really important. I very strongly agree with Peter in terms of the focus on open space and preserving the hiking trails and on the incredible resources that we have in Pound Ridge with 50% of our land being open space. We need to continue to protect that. But I think going forward, what I really aspire to do, if I'm given the opportunity and am reelected, really aspire to put in place this cooperative wireless communication plan that Kevin alluded to a little earlier. We worked really hard to help partner in bringing a consultant to our community that, along with 8 surrounding communities, we're one of 8, to guide us through improving wireless service throughout our community, and not to think of our property boundaries as walls by which we can't share resources, especially any sort of wireless communications, but we're thinking collaboratively in that shared service mindset of how can we improve wireless throughout our region. And so we have this plan in hand. Kevin and I have been working on this for 2 years, so we're really ready to go on that, creating a
Thank you.
commission for that.
Okay, great. Okay, okay, here we go. So we're gonna start with Peter Avellino. And how would you describe the financial condition of Pound Ridge, and what would you do to strengthen it? So that would start with Peter Avellino.
The financial condition today, would argue maybe the question is more, what are the biggest challenges? I would say that we have unstable finances, primarily because of years of late filing, as much as 27 months behind any given year and close. I know that Mr. Hanson pointed earlier that the audit is not really terribly important. It just reaffirms what they've been doing, so to speak, and that's just not true. Being a finance person, the audit is absolutely key, especially when you're playing with somebody else's money. So we have to make certain that we get it right. We have to get it right the first time. And we can't be, and I think he also used a term that was rather disturbing when I think the way he referenced it was that they knew what to do. They knew it beforehand, before those audits came out. Now this just reaffirms that it has to be done, or something along those lines. We can't do the right thing when they're looking. We have to do the right thing when they're not looking, and that's the biggest message that I would make as it relates to the unstable finances. The other thing I would point out is that they've disbanded the Economic Development Committee, and I know Ms. Briggs made that point earlier. I don't understand what the reason was, but I think it's important to understand that if we're going to see some real growth, especially in the downtown area, that's something that should be coming back.
Okay, thank you. Okay, Diane Briggs.
I'd just like to reiterate the fact that the town's financial position is strong and it's sound. And since taking office, Kevin and our team have more than tripled our fund reserves and overseen widespread growth in property value, all while holding the line on property taxes and keeping them under the state tax cap every year. In 2024, revenues exceeded projections while spending came in under budget. And the best metrics of good financial management are a fund balance and budgets that stay under the tax cap. Every single year in office, we've kept those metrics strong. I know we've talked about this over and over and over. We are caught up. We are completely caught up. No more late audits. We've learned, we've grown, we've dealt with COVID. There are a lot of reasons why we fell behind, but we caught up. And we are in excellent standing as of today. I think that point's been made over and over.
Okay, thank you. And Daniel Pashkish.
It's
How would you describe the financial condition of Pound Ridge, and what would you do to strengthen it?
It's really sad to hear Peter spouting the same misinformation that his running mate has been spouting. Our finances are not unstable. It's a disservice to our residents to make that statement because it's not true. And the clearest barometer of that is the state comptroller's fiscal stress test report, which just came out, which found that we have no fiscal stress. 6.7 out of a possible score of 100, 100 being the most stressed, 6.7 being no stress. We are in good financial condition. I have been a fiscal conservative my entire tenure on the town board. I advocate every year that we budget conservatively, that we underestimate our revenues, and that we plan for more than we might expect in terms of expenses, so that every year we meet or exceed our budget. We have a growing fund balance year after year. We stay under the tax cap 7 years in a row, which benefits our residents because other state benefits come with that staying under the tax cap. It's not just that we keep our taxes low, but it advantages us when it comes to other benefits that the state provides for doing that. So our finances are strong. Our fund balance is strong and growing. We've met or exceeded all of our budgets year after year after year. And this opposition, Peter and his running mates, need to stop misrepresenting and lying about where we are.
Thank you. Okay, here we
I'd like to
go.
rebut, if I could take one of my rebuts here.
Sure.
I think, to comment on both Diane and Dan. I think there was a recent mailer that came out to where they were talking about their opponents, that they stated that the unassigned grew from 456 in 2017 to 1.5 in 2024, showing almost a 4 times growth. And it really speaks to Dan's point where he's saying that they're financially very healthy. In actuality, you can't combine.
Thank you. It's rebuts are 30 seconds. Thank you very much. Okay, next question. How much will you rely on Pound Ridge committees? This will be starting with Diane Briggs, by the way. How much will you rely on Pound Ridge committees, such as the Sustainability Committee and Conservation Board, to inform your environmental actions for the town? Starting with Diane Briggs.
Well, I would say very much so. We have a number of experts who serve on a number of our boards and commissions who have deep expertise and knowledge in those areas, much more so than I do and other members of the town board. And so we absolutely rely on them. And when we are looking to fill vacancies on our boards and commissions, we go through a very thorough vetting process, and we look for diversity of experience and backgrounds to make sure those boards and commissions are really well-rounded. So I think very, very strongly we rely on those experts, and they've given us great guidance in the past that we've followed and aspire to continue to follow them.
Okay, thank you. Okay, Daniel Pashkish, how much will you rely on Pound Ridge committees such as Sustainability and Conservation Board to inform your environmental actions for the town?
We are so fortunate in Pound Ridge to have a wealth of incredibly talented volunteers who step up to serve on our boards and commissions. We rely on them enormously. We have for years, and we continue to do so, and will continue to do so. For example, we have a chair on of the planning board who was intimately involved with seeing the construction of the new Tappan Zee Bridge. I still call it the Tappan Zee Bridge. We have a member of the Water Wastewater Task Force who is an engineer who is instrumental in making sure that the reservoir and aqueduct system that feeds the city of New York stays up and running. And he's serving as a volunteer on our board and commission here in town. They will do this at no expense. If we could not ever afford to pay to have the expertise that these people provide to us, and all I can do is continue to thank them and continue to hope that they will continue to serve, because we do and will continue to rely on them.
Okay, thank you. And Peter Avellino.
I would echo what both Dan and Diane are saying. Our volunteerism is absolutely incredible when it comes to the effort on the part of the boards. Not only do we have some of the brightest minds, but these folks work tirelessly to do some of the work they do. If you look at the planning board, the environmental board, the water commission, these are critical boards that can help protect us in terms of what type of outgrowth is going to happen in this community now and well into the future. So I would tell you that we stand very strongly on these boards, place them in a very high level of importance. I think the only thing I would add to what both Diane and Dan are saying is that we do want to, from time to time, utilize outside experts where appropriate. It's not to say that we don't do that, but I would make the point that it's important that, especially if we're looking to accelerate some of the work that has to be done, when you have somebody that's a part-time person trying to do this, as opposed to somebody that's doing this full time, you can accelerate the work product working along with our boards to get things done. So thank you.
Thank you.
Susan,
Okay, yeah.
may I add one thing?
Is this
Not
the
as much as
rebuttal? You can't
I
add.
guess so, but I would just like to say to Peter and say that Peter hasn't shared with us, but his wife chairs the conservation board, and she is an incredible asset to our community. And my hats are off to her, because she is one of those people that we do rely on and who does give back so much to our community. And so Peter hasn't even taken advantage of mentioning that, but I'll do it for him because I have great respect for his wife, and she does a tremendous amount for our community.
Thank you. I'm sure she'll be very thankful to hear that as well. Thank you.
Okay, we're going to move. So we're going to move to question 5. We're going to start with Daniel Pashkish. What quality of life improvements will you seek for Pound Ridge, specifically regarding improvements for the downtown, recreation, and environment? What quality of life improvements will you seek for Pound Ridge, specifically regarding improvements for the downtown, recreation, and environment? And that's starting with Daniel Pashkus.
The water issue in Scott's Corners is key to maintaining and improving the quality of life in Pound Ridge for our residents. If we don't have clean, safe drinking water in Scott's Corners, we're going to lose restaurants. We're going to lose other businesses. You're going to see it slide back into the vacant storefronts that were there 9-10 years ago. You can't let that happen. So I think we're very fortunate to have secured millions and millions of dollars in funding to help improve that situation. And I'm hopeful that that will continue to move forward, because it's key to the quality of life and our economic health in town and our property values going forward. In addition, I think that the acquisition of the 7 Old Pound property was key to maintaining and will be key to improving potentially the quality of life in Pound Ridge. We're going to continue to build out that walking path from Scott's Corners, which now goes up to the town park, all the way up to the hamlet. We've secured grant funding to help build out that trail. And I'm looking forward to seeing that come to fruition. So those are some of the things that I'm looking forward to seeing.
Okay, thank you. Okay, and Peter Avellino, what quality of life improvements will you seek for Pound Ridge, specifically regarding improvements for the downtown, recreation, and environment?
On the downtown, I think water to the downtown is something that we have been facing in all the years that I've been here. This is not new. It's not something that just came out for the first time. So I would echo the point that Dan is making. We do have to focus on water, especially if we're looking at added infrastructure, whether it's restaurants or housing or other components that may allow for a larger build out. Eventually, a sewer has to come with that. But when it comes to drinking water, I think we have to be very careful about how we do this. And I appreciate the fact that we're very, very close to doing this. But the part that disturbed me was how this happened. There was no referendum done, at least on the part of the board. Dan was the only person that actually stood up and said to his board that I promised the town that we would never put ourselves in a situation where this would be done without referendum. And it was his vote. I believe, Dan, you're the only one who voted it down at the time. It was a 4-1 vote. And ultimately what happened is it was a resident, it was the district that got up and actually made the decision to put a petition together to eventually get a referendum. We can't do it that way. That's not going to work for us. We want to make sure we take the time to do it right. But I do think it's important. We need to research it further. With respect to 7 Old Pound, I think that if the idea was not to use it for wastewater, or if that was a possibility and it's not working, we have to think about what else we're doing. It's an expensive piece of property. We do have plenty of other land available to us that we can use. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, and Diane Briggs.
Again, I echo most of those sentiments. Water, number one. I live in the business district. I live right in the middle of the business district. I am impacted by the water contamination today, and my house was impacted very directly by the water contamination that happened 20 plus years ago. So this is an essential need of the town, is to bring clean water into Scott's Corners. Number two, as I mentioned earlier, the wireless plan, the wireless communications plan is essential. I was on a phone call with an ambulance bringing my father to the emergency room, and I lost service right in front of the ambulance corps. And that was half a mile from my house. And that was mind-blowing to me. So we have this plan, we have a solution, and we just need the time to focus on that. And once we get through these audits and these challenges and these allegations about our financial situation, we will focus. And if I am given this opportunity to serve again, this will be a top priority. And again, one thing I'd really like to do, because I do use the bike path daily, and I don't know if it can be done, so I'm not making any promises, but I think it'd be great if we could find a way to widen it slightly, going from the business district up to the town park, and then, to Dan's point, going up to the hamlet. That would be an incredible resource for the community. That path is used more and more every year. So those are
Thank
my
you.
3 top priorities.
Okay. Okay, so here we are. Okay. We're going to start on the next question, and we're going to start with Peter Avellino, and here it is. What are your views on the next steps for addressing the complex set of issues surrounding water management in Scott's Corners?
Well, I started talking about that in the last question. I think what we want to do at this point, is the question that you're managing water from a sewer perspective or drinking water? Because that wasn't very clear.
So what it says, the question is this: what are your views on the next steps? Oh, okay, for addressing the complex set of issues surrounding water management in Scott's Corners. So my interpretation of that is
It's the drinking water.
the complex set of issues. Okay, yeah.
So, there are a number of complications. I think one of the first and foremost things that we have to address is that there was only less than 50% of the people that actually voted in the election, and the referendum, if you will. So I think there's a reason why there's such a large percentage of people or property owners that do not understand the importance behind the water. We have to get behind that. We have to understand what their concerns are. And this is why open discussions are absolutely critical. I can recall 2 years ago or a little bit more than that, when we had the cannabis hearing. There was no real cannabis hearing, and I don't want to use this time to go into the details of what finally brought us to a forum. But when we did have the forum, I was actually very pleased by the level of transparency by both Diane and Dan. Both of them stood and said that they apologized and understood that the lack of communication, the lack of transparency is what brought us here today. That a lot of these things can be avoided if we do a better job communicating. So if I'm to try to understand what's going on in the downtown area, I have to start with communication, understand why there's so many people that do not understand it.
Thank you. Okay, Diane Briggs, what are your views on the next steps for addressing the complex set of issues surrounding water management in Scott's Corners?
Well, now that that lawsuit was thrown out, that we can proceed in acquiring the grant money, securing the grant money that we received, and also applying to get the balance of the money we need to fund the entire project. Because I think a lot of the pushback is the misunderstanding and misinformation about what the cost would be to each business that taps into the water main. And again, there's been a lot of misinformation shared about that. And we are working so hard to bring in the grant money so it doesn't cost them nearly as much as we know it will, but what's being alleged as well. So I just wanted to take 1 second to address what Peter mentioned in terms of the cannabis, that we were a new board at that time. We were dealing with COVID. We were managing people and resources when the cannabis issue came up. And could we have done more? Absolutely. We learned, and ever since, we worked very hard to have referendums. We have worked very hard to have open communications and town board meetings. So it was a learning experience, but I make myself available to talk to anybody who wants to talk about that topic, because I did a lot of research on that before it even came to a vote. So, or
Thank you.
before it even became an issue for the community.
Okay. And Daniel, what are your views on the next steps for addressing the complex set of issues surrounding water management in Scott's Corners?
So the next steps and the complexity of it is going to be resting in large part on the shoulders of the resident volunteer experts that we referred to earlier on our town boards and commissions. Because contrary to the scaremongering that Mr. McGowan mentioned earlier in terms of where the pipes are going to go and how they're going to run, and they're going to be an environmental disaster, and it's just not in conformance with the reality of the process. The reality is the build out will be subject to review by our planning board, by our water control commission, by our zoning board of appeals where necessary, if necessary. And all of those boards and commissions are going to be working diligently to ensure that where the pipes get laid, it's done so in a way that will mitigate or wherever possible avoid any negative impacts to the adjoining properties, whether they be watershed properties, whether they be within the setback for the Water Control Commission. So it's going to be done in a careful and methodical way with full input and oversight from the boards and commissions that we rely on so heavily.
Okay, thank you. Okay, next question, we're going to start with Diane Briggs. What is one of Pound Ridge's greatest assets or strengths, and how would you work to enhance this strength or asset? Diane Briggs.
I feel very strongly that our biggest asset is our open space, is our preserves. And we have really dedicated people who serve on the open space commission, who work very hard to identify valuable properties and rate them in a very complicated scale. They have made presentations to the town numerous times, and it always astounds me the level of expertise they offer. And they spend inordinate amounts of time researching pieces of property for their value to the community, and then rating them and sharing with the town board their recommendations for those acquisitions. So open space to me is a huge priority.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so Daniel Pashkish. What is one of Pound Ridge's greatest strengths or assets, and how would you work to enhance that?
Without any doubt, it's our volunteers. It is the input that we are fortunate to have from people who have busy lives, careers of their own, families at home that need and demand their own time and attention, and yet take the time to spend many, many, many hours every month preparing for and participating in these boards and commissions, whether it's the planning board, the zoning board of appeals, the water control commission, the open space acquisitions committee, the energy action committee, which is now the sustainability committee. These are all people with lives and careers and families of their own, and they are our greatest asset. And it goes beyond the town government, because we have a volunteer fire department and a volunteer ambulance corps. And if we had to pay for a full-time paid fire department, you want to talk about watching our taxes go skyrocketing. Try funding a paid fire department. Those guys are awesome, and what they do is invaluable. Similar with the ambulance corps, which I've had the privilege of being an active member on for the past 22 years. When you call 911, we show up day or night, no matter what hour, no matter what weather. The volunteerism in this town is amazing, and it is our greatest resource, and we need to protect them and appreciate them and let them know they're appreciated and support them in every way we can.
Thank you. Okay, and Peter.
Oh, I would agree with my opponents. Volunteerism is absolutely key for a small community that does not have the same resources available to them that, say, a larger community might have. Our volunteerism is absolutely critical. Many of the commissions and boards that Dan had mentioned are absolutely critical for running a lot of the day-to-day functions, whether it's someone who's trying to expand out their home, or somebody that has an issue with water on their property and how to address it. Whatever the issue is, our boards play a very, very important role in making certain that, again, we live lighter on the land. We minimize our impact. We minimize any potential damage that we might cause living here, especially in light of the fact that us being stewards of the land that we occupy, but also how we protect all those that are around us that would be potentially impacted by it. So without volunteerism, that job becomes a very, very high lift. But I think we have to do a better job. I think we have to do a better job encouraging more and more people to want to come out and to serve. And I think the way we do that is through forums, through better communication, through better transparency of discussion, and making sure that people are engaged in the process. We don't want to have a one-way discussion, as Supervisor Hanson had raised earlier. It just was never like that. I mean, I know
Thank you.
Dan. Thank you.
Okay, next question. Okay, here we go. We're going to start with Daniel, and this is the question. What do you think are Pound Ridge's most significant upcoming challenges, and how do you propose we handle them?
Well, we've been talking about it most of the night. Water, water,
Who knew?
Water, water, and water.
Water, water everywhere.
drink, clean water to drink. So, Scott's Corners has been challenged for decades. When I first joined the board, people were still furious that the town board didn't take affirmative action against the gas station. It's now the Mobil, but it was a prior owner back then, that contaminated the water in Scott's Corners, which took decades for that contamination to attenuate. And people were mad at the town board then for not taking action. Scott's Corners is also built in a wetland. It's literally inches above the water table, and you can sometimes watch the water table bubble up through the drains at the Trinity Plaza Shopping Center when it rains heavily. So it's a perennial problem, but we don't want to be a town board that continues to ignore the problem as it was done 20 somewhat years ago. We want to be the town board that solves the problem and makes it better.
Thank you. Okay. And Peter Avellino, what do you think are the most significant upcoming challenges, and how do you propose we handle them?
Okay, I think we've been talking about many of them throughout this discussion, but the biggest challenges facing Pound Ridge is the board's irresponsible fiscal mismanagement and poor decision making. I understand that Dan is not happy about me saying that, but I truly believe that that is the case. Unstable finances, for one, years of late filings, which I already said, some years as much as 27 months being behind. That's just unheard of. They've led to higher taxes, unsupported spending, and a higher borrowing cost. We didn't really even get a chance to talk that much about what borrowing costs are. We do not and have not had an opportunity to get any kind of bond rating. And, I think it's laughable, some of the comments that I've heard that it's not it's because we're a small town and we don't need to get a rating. It's very costly. That's just not the case at all. We can definitely get a rating. We can definitely save a significant amount of money in the process. We're probably paying as much as 50% more for the same money that we're borrowing. And if we have more and more issues with sewer and water and anything else that we build out, the costs are only going to become more and more skyrocketing. So I would say those are the most important things that we have to resolve today.
Okay. And Diane Briggs, most significant upcoming challenges, and how do you propose we handle them?
The challenges personally are for us to win this election right now so that we can continue the work of applying for and securing significant amounts of grant money to get the important needs of the town done. I am frustrated at the repeated misinformation about the town's finances. The things Peter just said are not accurate, and if I try to start to go down the rabbit hole of explaining why they're not accurate, I'm going to run out of time. And so I'd like to continue that conversation another time, but we need to continue to work to serve this community and address these very dire needs that we are down the path very close to solving. And if this board gets voted out, we're not going to be able to solve that water problem. It's going to go away. And all that money that we've already secured, $7.6 million, we've already secured. We've got another $3 million very close in hand. That's enough to fund that project. So that's the biggest problem I face.
I
Okay,
think
thank
it's
you.
much.
So rebut.
Are you in rebuttal? Would you like to make a rebuttal? Is that,
Peter, Diane, did I hear that correctly?
I'm sorry?
Is Peter rebutting Diane? Did I hear that correctly?
Peter, you are rebutting? Okay.
Yes.
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, I think much of the data that we're pulling is from an actual source. It's something that the town board has provided, either through a FOIL, or it's something that we have seen through the audit that was recently performed, both the auditors as well as the comptroller's office. So, when Mrs. Briggs points out that, that she thinks that this is information that's being fabricated, to
Okay.
use my words,
That's a
just not,
rebuttal.
it's
So
it's
a
just not
rebuttal,
true.
so we're done.
It's just not true.
Thank
I'd
you.
like to use
Okay.
rebuttals, please.
You would like to make a rebuttal, Daniel?
Yeah,
Is that
yes.
correct? Okay. 30, just remember, a rebuttal is 30 seconds.
Go.
Okay,
Go.
that's all. Go ahead, go.
Say that if you keep repeating a lie often enough, people will believe it. And what Peter has just told you again is not true. The town is not fiscally unstable. The town just got a 6.7 score under the comptroller's fiscal stress test, showing we are not unstable. We have no fiscal stress. And if Peter will stop repeating this misinformation and this lie about our finances being unstable, it would go a long way towards his credibility. It's just not true.
Okay, thank you. Okay, last question, and we're going to start with Peter Avellino. Okay. What is your vision for the 7 Old Pound Road property? What is your vision?
My vision would be to understand a little bit more about what the community's needs are. So I've heard about disc golf, butterfly gardens, pathways, which sounds great. I would love to have that. I would even getting back to a point that Diane had raised about expanding the bike path. I'd love to do something along the highways, along the main roads that lead us into other towns and other preserves. That path is not really designed for bicycles. It's an uneven path, and it would be rather difficult to use it the way it is currently. But those would be my revisions. With respect to the property itself, I still feel that if it is a special property, we should consider it for open space instead of paying the interest that's due on it, especially the higher interest rate that we're paying, which is probably double of what we would have paid if we had a municipal bond in there. I would say let's move it. Let's move it out. Let's give it to open space and use it for that purpose, especially if we want to protect it well into the future. I think there's plenty of land around town that we can use if we want to expand and do some of the things that has been mentioned tonight. I don't think that's the property for it. I think it should be sold or given to open space.
Okay, thank you. Diane Briggs, what's your vision for the 7 Old Pound Road property?
Definitely not to sell it, because land is a very finite commodity in our community, and that is a very wise purchase that has tremendous value to this community going forward. The best and highest use of that property, I'm not going to take a stand on right now. We've done a survey. The Rec Commission has done a survey and has gotten a lot of good feedback about what they'd like to see there. 7 Old Pound Road Committee, a community of residents who live right next to that property, have strong feelings about what should happen there. We need to factor those voices in before we do anything. We need trails, future fields. Long term, we should have a community center, something we've started working on. Our forefathers started working on that years and years ago, and they got very, very close. That property is really valuable and so contiguous to our town park that we definitely need to be taking in guidelines and recommendations from experts. And again, going back to the survey that the Recreation Commission did, there were a lot of good ideas that started there. So, and again, not open space. It's not, we know that that's not a valuable property in terms of open space. So there are a lot of different things that could go there too.
Thank you. Okay, and Daniel Pashkish, what is your vision for the 7 Old Pound Road property?
Tell you what it's not. It's not to sell it as Peter's vision includes. If Peter's vision includes selling the 7 Old Pound property, that vision includes the potential for condominiums lining Westchester Avenue from the town park up into the hamlet. Peter mentioned volunteering for the comprehensive plan. Well, I was on the comprehensive plan that we worked so diligently to pass years ago, and I believe it was 2010. And that comprehensive plan, which is still operative today, calls for preserving the view sheds in Pound Ridge, and acquiring the 7 Old Pound property is right in line with our comprehensive plan's vision for Pound Ridge, which includes preserving that view shed. There are a lot of different things that we can do with that property. And as Diane rightly says, there will be input from the community, just as there was input from the community with what to do with the old Texaco station, which is now a beautiful village green. And there will be an input from the community as to what to do with 7 Old Pound. But I can tell you, if I have any say in it, it won't be to sell it and potentially have it turned into condominiums.
Can I
Okay,
have a rebut?
Peter, I think you're done with your rebuttals.
Okay.
Okay. All right, thank you. Okay, we're moving on to closing statements, and we're going to reverse the order. So we have 9 seconds, minute and a half, and we're going to start with Daniel Pashkis. Please, closing statements. If I said open statements, I didn't mean to. I meant closing. Okay, thank you.
2 sides of the same book.
Yeah.
When I first ran for the town board, I had a lot of hair, and I was accused of being the precocious upstart. Now I'm accused of having institutional knowledge. I don't like that any better. But I will tell you, from someone perhaps with some perspective, rather than institutional, but some perspective, it's that the enemy of progress is inertia and negativity. Every major improvement that we have done in the last many years in town has been met with skepticism, naysayer, negativity, whether it was restoring Sachs Park, where an AA stream runs through it, and we were told there's no way to move that highway dumping use out of that property, but we found a way to do that. We were told we couldn't administer TEP to restore the sidewalks and street lamps in Scott's Corners, but we got it done. We were told now that you can't fix the water problem in Scott's Corners, but we're doing it. You know, we were told you shouldn't try to preserve the view shed or make a better use of the 7 Old Pound property than letting it go up for sale to be made into condominiums. You can't let the naysayers and the negativity prevent you from doing what progress you can make. And we have made progress. There's more progress to be made. I'm hopeful the voters give me an opportunity to be a part of that.
Thank you. Okay, Diane Briggs, closing statement.
Every morning when I wake up, I take my dog Winnie for a quick stroll through Scott's Corners, where I live, which I've said before. I pinch myself that I get to live in the most beautiful little town I could ever imagine, surrounded by neighbors and friends I deeply value. It's been an honor and privilege to serve 2 terms on our town board. I respect and appreciate the perspectives of my town board colleagues immensely, and I treasure the collaboration we share in addressing the challenges our town faces, always with the best of intentions. We may not always agree, but we always find a way forward respectfully. Kevin and Dan have truly been like brothers to me, steady, supportive, smart, insightful, and fiercely committed to Town Bridge's well-being, while also finding ways to laugh and smile, which we need more of these days. They bring those qualities to all they serve every day. Over the last 8 years, we've learned a great deal and we've grown together, and I remain eager to continue that work of listening, problem solving, and striving every day to serve Pound Ridge with care and dedication. I'm profoundly grateful to every town employee for their hard work, to the many residents, volunteers who've served tirelessly on our boards and commissions. Their contributions are essential to making Pound Ridge an even better place to live and work. I'm deeply grateful to call this community home, and I'd be honored to continue serving Pound Ridge for another term. I invite ongoing conversation with residents as together we will shape the future of our town.
Thank you. Okay, and Peter Avellino.
A lot of important things tonight impacting our precious town, including Dan accusing me of trying to sell that property. Dan, that is not my goal. My goal is to keep the property, obviously, but it has to be an open space. If you leave it under the current control, it could be used for anything, including being sold and getting pressure from state and federal governments to use it for doing exactly what you said. Going on, let's talk about why it matters and why I plan to do what I plan to do when I'm elected. First, fiscal health. Poor decision making has raised town costs, limited our ability to meet goals, and increased taxes for residents. I will prioritize responsible long-term planning, strengthen fiscal oversight, and use community input to shape budget priorities, prevent waste, and protect taxpayers. Second, transparency and inclusivity. We have mistrust, lawsuits, and diminished accountability due to board selective communication and partial transparency with residents. I'll ensure full transparency with timely updates, open forums, and rebuild trust through collaboration. Third, metrics and planning tools. We lack an updated comprehensive plan, an action plan, and a capital plan. Key tools for setting goals and measuring progress. I'll lead efforts to create and maintain these plans through public input, clear goals, and accountable timelines. And last, a shared vision. Without clear direction, the town board risks making uninformed decisions and misusing valuable resources. I'll work with residents to create a unified vision to improve quality of life that guides decision and aligns resources and addresses both current needs and future challenges. I'm committed to ending one-party control where discussions feel guarded and input from board members is rarely heard. The time to act is now. We can't afford more delays, missteps, or missed opportunities.
Thank you.
This November, I ask for your vote to build a real accountability and serve this great community. Thank you and good night.
Thank you. I want to extend a thank you to both the candidates and to all the people that took the time to email the league with their questions. A reminder that this forum was videotaped and will be available online beginning tomorrow. I would also like to take a moment just to remind you of the unique and important role played by the League of Women Voters here in the community and all across the country. The League works registering voters, which I just did yesterday, I think, at Fox Lane High School, educating voters on the issues of the day, and protecting their right to vote, which is vital to the strength of our democracy. Your local league is made up, again, of what you guys were talking about tonight, of volunteers who devote their time. And we appreciate the time that you folks have given us tonight to do what the league does pretty darn well, I think, which is voter education. So thank you for your participation and hope everyone has a wonderful evening. That's it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, thank you all.